A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there was a much-loved but dead series of films called Star Wars. You're like, dead? What are you talking about? The Force Awakens came out in 2015, we got Rogue One, and we got more Star Wars movies coming out. That's true. But it wasn't always so. So, on this trip down memory lane, I want to talk to you about a game from a company called West End Games. And this game is called Star Warriors. So let me give you a little backdrop on this. So back in like 1987, I think this one's also 1987. Yep, 1987. Lucasfilm. Okay. West End Games picked up the license for Star Wars. And they started producing what was called the role-playing game. And as part of the role-playing game, and mind you, this is not computer. This is pen and paper, books, and all that stuff. It's like Dungeons & Dragons, except it's Star Wars. They came out with a board game that was designed to either go with the role-playing game, or you could play it separately. And so, getting into the Star Wars craze and being a role player, I picked this bad boy up to go along with the game. So what you got with this game was, you had the box, of course. You had the rule book, a bunch of dice. And this is important because in Star Warriors, along with the Star Wars RPG from West End Games, used what was called the D6 system. So everything you did in the game revolved around rolling a D6. And so the higher skilled you were, the more dice you rolled, and the less skilled you were, the less dice you rolled, right? Pretty simple. The only problem with the game was, like, how many dice I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay, so, and how you would play the game is, let's say, like, you're trying to shoot a TIE fighter. You're assigned a difficulty number of, say, 30. You gotta make 30 to shoot the target. Well, if I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dice, I roll it up, I calculate the numbers. If it's 30 or higher, boom, I hit the target. If it's 29 or less, I miss the target. Yeah, really easy system overall. But of course, like if you got like if you're like really skilled, like I got 9 dice, but what if your skill level is so high you get 15 d6 or 20 d6 or something? You're counting a lot of dice. And with that, you had this. But anyway, that's the d6 system in general. So you had this chart here showing you all these different maneuvers, like the advanced game double slip, the standard slip. This, what do we got? Ship arcs. Advanced game firing arcs. What we got here? Facing example. You know, etc., etc. Adjust the camera a little bit and I'll show you some more. So you got all these maneuvers and stuff, and the advanced game double slip. Oh, I think I'm repeating myself there. Here we go. You got a hazard table, summary of damage code. See, and so then you have, like, you could, if you plug it into the role-playing game, you could put, like, Joe Heath, buddy of mine. I need to see that guy. Now I'm back in Kentucky. I should go visit him. But anyway, you just put the stats that you're playing, like a Y-Wing, an X-Wing, a TIE Fighter, an A-Wing in here. And all your stats and information's here. But the thing about the game was, too, check this out. You had all these little cardboard cards, like damage cards, or like an A-Wing. It had damage cards, your shield, what strength it was, etc. Here was your map. It was a nice fold-out map. Nice quality. Check this out. It's a really beautiful hexagon map that you can't even see because it's so big you can't even see it on the camera here. And I will say this about the game. It was actually fun. But we only played it several times through the course of my ownership of this game, simply because it's like, if you'll have to do your own research, and maybe if I can get the books from my buddies, because I gave my stuff away when I left Kentucky, I'll get the old books and show you. The D6 system was very simple. In fact, it was so simple nobody wanted to use this after a while, because this was more realistic. But to play this game, you kind of like got to stop your role-playing game. You got to draw up the sheets. You know, fill in all the information, like, you gotta fill out all the information, Then you got to bring out the pieces, maneuver them, you know, resolve combat, which could take up to like 30 minutes to an hour or so. Then get right back into your role-playing game. But, so, you know, it wasn't a bad game or anything. It's just after a while we were starting to think, yeah, you know, it's just it was more fun to play the role-playing game than this because it was just faster and you didn't have to go out of your way to do it. But nonetheless, you can find this game on eBay. Like, if you're really into role-playing games, if you're a collector, or if you're just curious, you will find this on eBay. And it's not, it's worth your consideration. You know, honestly, I'm looking at selling my game off. Just so you know. Everything's included. But anyway, I wanted to share this little lost treasure with you. I hope you enjoyed watching this. And if you got any questions, fire away, man. I'm happy to help you out, share some information. See, look at this. All the rules and everything right there. So anyway, you all have a great weekend. Catch you later. Bye. And before I kick this off, there's one little note I want to make. I mentioned before that Westing Games revived Star Wars, and they really did. When this game was picked, the license was bought, Star Wars was dead. You might see a little toy here or there pop out. Remember, it's the late 80s. The last movie, Return of the Jedi, was made in 83. Marvel Comics, I think, had a couple of comics that popped out. Just little stuff like that. But what they did is they literally recreated the universe. And in fact, they came out with like source material for the role-playing game that was later plugged into the Star Wars novels. So if you ever read like Throne to the Empire with Admiral Thrawn and all that, and some of what was considered the expanded universe or now Legend series, they are responsible for getting that started. And so you can thank Westing Games for starting the role-playing game, getting the excitement going, getting books made, getting comics books made, which then convinced Lucas to start making the movies again in the 90s. So that also means if you hated the prequels, you can thank Westing Games. And you might be happy to know, if you really hated the prequels, that about one decade later, in 1997, this company went bankrupt. Maybe 98. They made some bad decisions, supposedly some bad investments. And even though they were rocking with all this merchandise and selling this stuff, they made some bad decisions, killed the company. And so then it went over to Wizards of the Coast. Then eventually it went over to Final Flight Games, who has the current license to it. But anyway, just wanted to throw it out to you. Have a great weekend. Out.